What is up mga kababayan, sa video ito pag-uusapan natin yung mga may init at maaanghang na bitaw ni Professor Malutiquilla laban nga po sa admin ni Bangag at sa mga may ilang politiko na humahawak sa impeachment process ni VP Sara. Pag-uusapan nga ba ang pag-uusapan dito yung legitimacy, kung legit nga ba ang impeachment process o ito talaga ay sadyang malicious intent lamang laban kay VP Sara. Lahat po yan ay pag-uusapan dito sa talakayan sa pagitan po ni Atty. Jimenez at ni Professor Malutiquilla. Pero bagong lahat mga kaibigan ay isang like at isang subscribe lang sa ating channel, masaya na po si PH Gen Z dyan. Patuloy po nagpapasalamat si PH Gen Z sa mga sumusuporta at nag-aabang na mga upload ni PH Gen Z. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Guys, ayan na, pagpatuloy natin ang video. Sa video ito mga kaibigan, na pag-usapan nga yung legitimacy. Bakit inuuna ang impeachment process? Bakit inuuna ang impeachment ni VP Sara imbes na pagtuunan ng pansin yung krisis natin sa langis at sa gas? Iyan po ang katanungan natin. Ito nga ba ay totoo? Nga ba yung motibo ng gobyerno dito sa impeachment na to o sadyang malicious intent lamang o political attack lamang ito kay VP Sara? Yan ang katanungan dito sa interview na to. Lalo na nag-iinit na po mga kaibigan yung mga nangyayari ngayon dyan sa Middle East, ang conflict sa Middle East, at totally na pong sinara ang Strait of Hormuz. Kung sa mga nakakaraang linggo mga kaibigan, may ilang bansang nakakadaan, lalo na yung mga allies ng Iran. So nakakadaan pa dyan yung mga malalaking bansa maliban sa Israel at sa Amerika. Pero ngayon kasi mga kaibigan, totally closed na po ang Strait of Hormuz. At dahil dyan, wala na po talaga mga barkong makakadaan at mahihirapan na po ang transportasyon ng langis mula sa Middle East patungo po sa mga iba-iba pa mong bansang bumili ng mga langis na ito mula sa Middle East. Pero dahil nga sinara, panigurado mas magtataas pa po ang presyo ng langis, magkakaroon po tayo ng krisis dyan, at panigurado lalala po ang estado ng ating ekonomiya. At kapag nangyari yan mga kaibigan, ngayon pa lang na langis pa lang ang nagmamahal, gas pa lang ang nagmamahal, talaga nakikita natin ang sigaw ng taong bayan, ang paghihirap ng taong bayan. Damang-dama natin yung pagtaas ng gas mga kaibigan. How much more kapag nagsitaasan na rin yung mga ibang essential goods. Once na tumaas na rin yung presyo ng mga ibang mga bagay, lalo na ang mga grocery, ang mga pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan. Diyan natin makikita ngayon ang aksyon ng gobyerno. Kung ipagpapatuloy ba nila itong impeachment kay VP Sara o ihihinto muna at pagpupukusan yung krisis natin. Diyan natin yan makikita. Mga kaibigan, masyado na mahabang intro natin. Rakta na ngayon tayo dito sa interview kay Professor Malutiquilla at kay Atty. Jimenez. Panoorin po natin. Napakaganda po ng interview nito. Panoorin natin mga kaibigan.
Good morning, Atty. Jimeno, and good morning to all your televiewers.
Let's start first with the impeachment hearing just yesterday. Upon motion of Congressman Terry Redon, the House Committee on Justice voted to issue subpoenas, one to the Bureau of Internal Revenue for income tax returns and related records covering 2007 to 2025 in relation to Vice President Sara and her spouse, Mans Carpio, and identified business entities. And Redon also moved for subpoenas to be issued to the Securities and Exchange Commission for general information sheets and audited financial statements of several firms linked to Vice President Sara Duterte and her family. So this was according to Cagayan Representative Rufus Rodriguez, a fishing expedition. So he opposed this, but the House Committee Justice had like a unanimous vote except for Congressman Rufus Rodriguez to approve the subpoenas. What's your take on all of this?
Well, Atty. Jimeno, I agree with Congressman Rufus Rodriguez that it is a fishing expedition. Those things that they are asking, the documents and invoking the subpoena powers of the Committee on Justice, only gives you a view of there is insufficiency in substance. Because when they passed sufficiency in form and substance, the determinants of the ultimate determinants of facts should have been tested when they discussed the substance. But apparently, coming up with the list, everyone in that committee, I guess, were shocked when Congressman Redon came up with several companies You don't even know when those companies were set up. You don't even know, are they really shareholders? So these things kind of open something that is not good in the process. That it is indeed a fishing expedition. I don't even understand, why are you covering the years of the vice president when she was a vice mayor? Is that a ground for impeachment? She is being impeached as a vice president. Vice mayors are unimpeachable officers. So if you are impeaching the vice president, it should have covered 2022 to the present. So if you look at the way they are asking, they are laying already the predicate that there is illegal wealth, and part of what they are also issuing a subpoena for are the SALN. So they are putting together to the public, this is what happened. But that is not what was alleged in the 2 impeachment charges that were adopted.
Yeah, I understand that impeachment proceedings are sui generis, pero ang pinakamalapit na parang analogy here would be a preliminary investigation in a criminal case. But usually, the prosecutor's office, they confine themselves within the allegations of the complaint. So, medyo nakakagulat nga na ngayon merong subpoena for companies that you said that did not appear in the complaints. So, meron pang isang naging issue. The House Justice Committee also issued or voted to issue a subpoena to Attorney Michael Poa for formerly serving as VP Sara's Chief of Staff and spokesperson at the DepEd, Department of Education, when the Vice President was still DepEd Secretary. And Congressman Rufus Rodriguez again opposed this, saying that it's unusual for a counsel of the Vice President who already entered this appearance to be subpoenaed in relation to the complaint. So, ano kaya yung intention here? Bakit siya ipapasubpoena?
I mean, looking through the various instances when certain officials of the Office of the Vice President were subjected to the House of Representatives' power, you would see that Attorney Laika Lopez was, placed in their custodial facilities because she doesn't want to answer.
She was held in contempt.
Yes, and there was another one who was also cited for contempt. No, so ang sense ko, again laying the predicate that if I cannot get the Vice President, I will certainly get someone very close to her. But in this instance, as you rightly pointed out, he is appearing as counsel, meaning that the association with the Vice President was no longer there. He is no longer with DepEd. He is now a lawyer, and for all intents and purpose, kasama siya dun sa listahan ng abogado. May mali ba dun? Isn't it that that is the right of any individual to choose their counsel? For all you know, that counsel may be prejudiced, maybe derogatory record is there, but still, that is due process. The person, any Filipino has a right to pick his or her counsel.
Yeah.
And in this instance, I don't understand, being a counsel can be subjected to something beyond your role as counsel?
Yeah, well, in this case, ang pagkakaintindi ko, sinabpina siya for being former spokesperson and chief of staff sa DepEd.
What does that have to do with impeachment?
Yeah, I guess like the missing link would be Attorney Michael Poa does not appear in the allegations of the impeachment complaint that they're hearing right now.
So again, it's another...
palagay mo ba it's to hold him in contempt and detain him?
Yes, it's another puzzle it's a piece of a puzzle that they are putting together to control the narrative. Unfortunately, they cannot control the narrative because the issue now is legitimacy of the process. If you look at the Supreme Court decision on the impeachment, every step, there were 12 conditions that would justify fulfillment of the constitutional right on due process. Dito, makikita mo, nag-cherry picking. And then they will put together the puzzle saying, oh, kita mo, involved siya. O kita mo, merong illegal wealth. O kita mo, hindi reflect sa SALN. If that would be the case, that is already trial, right? And shouldn't the House of Representatives just check may determinants ba, factual determinants ng kanilang ng allegation sa
Parang
complaint?
similar to rules of criminal procedure na may determination ng probable cause, or in the
Yes.
recent amendments yung sufficiency to lead at least strong evidence of a likelihood of guilt.
Yes,
Oo.
yes.
So, yung kay Congressman Rodriguez's remarks about Madriaga being a polluted source was ordered stricken off the records. What is your assessment of Ramil Madriaga's, reliability as a witness? I understand, meron point din naman talaga dito yung House Justice Committee na hindi pa to point to determine the credibility of the witness, but this was because of the motion of Congressman Chel Diokno na to provide additional security.
Yeah.
Oo, but ang question rin that I was wondering about is who is Madriaga's handler? Kasi
Yes.
based on the letter that was read into the records during the hearing, it seems to be professionally written. Meron pang mga references to an annex.
At saka may-
So, for someone who is currently detained in prison, sinong tumutulong sa kanya na sulatin yung mga ganitong sulat?
Ang balita ko, may isang legislator na in and out. At saka may isang ex-legislator na in and out rin. So, yung kay Madriaga, I think the very person that you need to contact and to establish Madriaga's allegations would be attorney, there's an attorney kilala, I don't know him, but lumalabas sa news accounts, no? And then when you say, sa kampanya kasi marami kang nakikitang tao, that doesn't necessarily mean na tao ko siya. Maraming tumutulong. Pero yung punto ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is, polluted source. Why is the House doing this, issuing a protective custody to a polluted source? Bakit ba siya nasa kulungan in the first place? Siguro dapat yun ang tingnan natin. Ngayon, kung meron siyang affidavit, sworn affidavit, at kailangang i-test, di ba? Hindi ba dapat trabaho yun ng House of Representatives? Hindi magbigay ng custodial cover sa kanya dahil hindi pa nga na-establish, totoo ba itong sinabi niya? Kasi, di ba, meron siyang sworn affidavit, tapos si Colonel La Chica nag-deny in a sworn affidavit. So, banggaan ng mga affidavits nila. Dapat si committee chair should be able to establish where is the truth here.
Oo. But palagay mo ba meron din naman siyang basis to say that he fears for his life?
Well, you're safe there in the jail system. I mean, there are guards there. If there will be an attempt in his life, surely it will not come from the office of the vice president. Diba?
Because they have
What will they get from that?
Or may control ba sila? May ability ba sila to control
The office of the vice president?
BJMP? Hindi, oo.
But that is under DILG. So, if you're looking at protective custody, why don't you appeal to the secretary of DILG and say, put several guards there?
Kanina nung na-mention mo, merong kang naririnig na legislator and former legislator na in and out. You mean in and out sa pagdalo kay Madriaga?
Yes, and they were able to help him craft that sparkling affidavit that is now attached. And, you know,
Are you at liberty to say kung sino itong mga
mahirap.
tao to?
Pero yung isa, dating kalihim ng kagarawan ng hustisya. Yung isa,
Dating
senador.
taga-DOJ, yung isa. Sino
diba?
kaya? Okay.
Na
Sige.
naandyan. So, pag mga gano'n,
Ano lang naman yan, mga kaibigan, eh.
source ba?
Si Buying, matik yan eh. Siya yung dating sekretary ng Justice. At saka itong si Treliling. Yan ang dating senador.
O talagang hinanap nila ang isang source na ganyan para idiin ang vice president.
Well, what I noticed yesterday at the hearing was the voting pattern. Medyo consistent kasi siya that it's always Rufus Rodriguez voting by himself usually against the motions, and practically, well, everyone else voting in favor of the motions that were raised. So, para sa akin lang, in the past, when I was observing Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, he also voted in favor of finding sufficiency in form and
In
substance,
substance, yeah.
for the impeachment complaints against Vice
Yeah.
President Sara. Were you surprised
Yes.
by his positions yesterday? But before you elaborate on this, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. With political analyst Malu Tiquilla. Welcome back at the Forefront. We continue our conversation with political analyst Malu Tiquilla. Based on the voting patterns yesterday, it was pretty consistent. Laging nag-iisa si Congressman Rufus Rodriguez with voting either against a motion or in favor of a motion, but laging the rest of the members of the House Justice Committee were voting against. Magkaiba sila lagi. So, looking at Congressman Rufus, he also voted in favor of finding sufficiency in form and substance for the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte. Nagulat ka ba sa mga posisyon niya yesterday?
Oo, nagulat ako kasi katulad nung unang round, ang gaganda ng mga pinupoint niya no sa debate, tapos nagulat ako sa dulo, bumoto doon sa 54. Ako ang sense ko, parang pinakita niya sa taong bayan after viewing yesterday, parang pinakita niya sa taong bayan na hindi, may weakness yung complaint, no? Pinoint ko nga nung una. Ngayon, he is now drilling into hindi ba sinabi ko naman ito sa inyo noon? So, ang point ko siguro sumama siya sa majority para makita niya kung ano yan talagang ultimate facts. At nung binubuksan na, yun na nakita, wala talaga yan. So, I'm happy that there is a lawyer, a former dean, who would raise these issues despite the overwhelming number of the members of the Justice Committee. May nagpo-point out talaga, fishing expedition yan, polluted source yan, hindi ka pwede magsabpina ng kung sino-sino. These are very heavy points that are very important when you look at the records of the impeachment against the Vice President. Siguro siya yung lone wolf in the pack, and I hope that manner of questioning at the end, he will vote, so magiging dalawa na, 54-1 dati, siguro magiging 53-2. Mahirap yung ginagawa niya kasi you are up against a full majority. Makikita naman natin sa committee level pa lang, talagang buo yung majority. So, maganda at natututo ang taong bayan dun sa mga points na sinasabi niya.
Do you think this reflects the position of the larger majority in Congress? Because in the end, dadalhin to sa plenary.
Senado.
Oo,
Yeah,
and they
sa plenary, yeah.
Yeah, and they need
106?
Yes.
Oo. I mean, ang parati ko nga sinasabi, if you have 54 in the committee, you're just looking for 52 to have the 106. Would you be able to get the 52? May mga signaling na nanggagaling sa NUP, may mga sa NPC. So yung party block matters. Kasi kung si
Anong signaling yun nanggagaling sa ibang mga
if there are
political
no
parties?
charges, sandali lang, pakita nyo muna yan. Ano ba yan? Pakita nyo muna yung evidence. Kasi ako, Karen, as a layman, yung evidence should have been attached to the complaint. Hindi yung i-open mo, ipapry open mo yung, because there is a complaint, ipapry open mo yung process to get the evidence to support the complaint.
Yeah.
Sinabi
Actually,
niyo na
parang
nga,
ganyan yung nangyari
Diba?
sa amin with Chief Justice Corona.
Yes, you were there.
Walang masyadong binigay na evidence when the impeachment complaints were filed. Pero pagdating naman dun sa trial, yun yung ginamit na parang fishing expedition. And I remember Justice Cuevas, who was part of the defense team, also raising that as a
At saka,
constitutional issue.
Karen, remember, there was no SALN in the charges that were presented in the Senate during the trial. Parang kahiyaan na anong rason ng ating i-charge sa kanya o tingnan natin ang SALN. Yung SALN last several days before, talagang makikita mo ginamit.
Yeah. So, because of this, in a previous interview, you said na with another interviewer that you claimed that the first impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara was funded by the administration. You also said that this might not happen this time. Why do you say that?
Well, because nagkabukingan nga na dun sa flood control. Imagine the first time they didn't see the complaint, they were placed in one room, their cell phones were left outside, and they were asked to sign. Sign lang, walang kwan, ha? And then that complaint was not even presented to the Vice President. Kaya nga, inelevate sa Supreme Court. Good enough that the Supreme Court noticed that. So doon pa lang, hindi pa nga nababayaran yung lahat ng pumirma dyan yung 245. Kasi natigil. So ngayon, ang pressure sa executive, wag nyo niyang AFLR, dalhin nyo na dito. Ito, pipirma kami. Pero since wala naman sila nakukuha ngayon at wala ngang cash at hindi with the crisis, I'm so thankful with the crisis kasi mamimili ka ngayon. Saan mo lalagay yung pondo mo? Sa politika o serbisyo sa taong bayan? So ito, napakahirap na posisyon sa administrasyon. Kung ako si Pangulong Marcos, sasabihin ko itigil niyo muna yung impeachment. Harapin muna natin yung krisis. Hindi ko sinasabing wag maging accountable, hindi. Pero kita mo yung optics, ang tao nagkakagulo, naglalakad sa kalye, hindi maintindihan kung magkano ang bilihin. Tapos nandito ang mga politiko, nagfi-fishing expedition. Tama ba yun?
So palagay niyo po ba malalampasan to ni Vice President Sara? Some are saying that this is meant to disqualify her from running in 2028.
Yeah, I think it's very obvious from the start. They want to demolish her. They want to shake the base. And ultimately, they want her to be disqualified from holding any public office. That is the long-term plan. Ang tingin ko, aabot sa Senado, magkakaroon ng trial, may boto ba? Yun ang mahirap. Kasi sa Senado, parang 6 doon ang re-electionist, yung iba, end of term. And of course, if you're re-electionist, napakahirap mong diinan ang declared candidate for 2028. So, maraming mangyayari between now and the time it is elevated in the Senate. But again, Attorney Jimeno, no, may crisis. Doon muna tayo sa crisis. Ayusin muna natin ang taong bayan bago tayo manira at alsin ang isang frontrunner.
Yeah. Okay, so since pinag-usapan natin yung crisis, meron na bang para sa inyo clear plan ang administration to deal with the crisis that's caused by the Middle East?
Wala ako nakikitang plan. Ang nakita ko lang yung executive order calling for uplift. No?
Oh, yung uplift, may bago tayong acronym,
Oo,
yung uplift,
diba? Uplift.
Unified Package for Livelihood, and basta meron siyang
Frontliner
Oo,
something.
So, may binuot ditong committee, but it's made up of the existing departments at ang chairman ay ang ating presidente. But based on the contents of the executive order, do you think this would be able to address
No, because
the
it
crisis?
focuses only on energy. Di ba? Ang hindi ko maintindihan dito sa administrasyon na ito, nung una sinabi walang oil crisis. Tapos immediately on the same day may crisis. Tapos ngayon lumabas yung executive order. Tuwan-tuwa ako dahil in the absence of a contingency plan, at least may directional map kung anong gagawin natin. But this time, it is only focused on energy. It is not looking into logistics. Of course, when you talk about energy, it impacts on logistics, it impacts on manufacturing, and then it impacts on the commodities that we buy.
Yeah.
So, hindi ko maintindihan bakit energy lang nakafocus, which would mean yung ating security supply may probably end by April. Which is, I don't know if the news on the Russian importation of oil what is true. If that is true, at least meron kang
May panggagalingan.
may
ng
panggagalingan.
supply. Oo.
At hindi siya traditional sources natin. So, doon lumalabas yung the importance of foreign policy. Imagine Russia giving you, I mean, whether
So would you
we
know
bought
if
it or
we
not.
have that option to also get sources from
Yes, I think
Russia.
Russia
Nabuksan na itong
parang
possibility
na-deliver
to.
na. I don't know
Okay.
how many billions of barrels of oil. Then they are talking with China. So ito yung mga medyo isinantabi mo sa foreign policy mo, sa interest mo na we will lean towards the US. So what is important there, Attorney Jimeno, is you really need to balance your interest so that when there is a crisis like this, you can readily reach out. Eh kung kaaway mo silang lahat at hindi mo pinapansin at parati na lang sinisisi sila, paano ka makakatawag? Ang importante sa isang leader, makakatawag sa leader ng ibang bansa para sabihin, kailangan ko tulong mo.
And then finally, how will this response of the government, how they deal with this Middle East crisis affect the president's political capital?
Well, the political capital is no longer there. Imagine the political capital not being there. You are going into your last 2 years, then there is a crisis. All this impinge on his trust ratings. If the trust rating is low, it's very hard to recover. You really have to be a superhuman to respond to this crisis because it is felt by everyone. It's not just the class D and E. The middle class is already aching. Kasi yung ayuda, rightfully, dapat ibigay doon. Pero si middle class ba, hindi nangangailangan ng tulong? So yung pinag-uusapan na excise tax, VAT, itong taxes, pwede itong maging paraan sa pagtulong sa middle class. But it's not being discussed.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Malu Tequilla, and we hope to have you back here again.
Well, thank you.
Lawmakers seem to be bent on pursuing the impeachment process against Vice President Sara Duterte. This despite rising fuel costs that are expected to trigger price increases for other commodities. The situation is grave. It's still not clear when the Middle East conflict will end. The government may need to reassess its priorities. What happens with these events will not only shape the country's political landscape, but also determine how effectively the government can safeguard Filipino lives and interests. Be informed, be insightful of the news. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Always stay at the forefront.